So question, does everyone have a work husband or work wife?
You know?
Well, I feel like it depends a lot, like, on the workplace. But I know from Megan and I's personal experience, not this job, but like at a different job, there was like a lot of entertainment around work husband, work wife, whether like, and then there's like a level of like jokingness to it.
Oh yeah. I mean, most of these people aren't really like doing this to date or whatever. It's really just the dynamic of the workplace.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Unless you are doing it.
Unless you really
date.
are doing it.
Oh,
but
yeah. Which I think is like a little weird. But like, I don't know. Like, how do you guys see like a work husband, work wife? Like, I see it almost as like it's like your best friend at work. But then some people take it like way too far.
I feel like a lot of girls think of it as like a best friend.
Yeah,
that's what I.
Yeah. Well, my work husband is my literal husband.
Hey. So I guess a question is like, if for girls, right, you guys see it as just somebody as your friend. If you are dating somebody and they have a work wife or work husband,
red flag.
If you're calling them your work wife or work husband, you're done for.
Oh.
Yeah, I feel like that should not be happening.
Yeah.
So if you're dating somebody that's off limits.
I mean, you can have a bestie, like it's chill, but it needs to be just that, just chill. You know, when you're single, you have more options, but some things in a relationship you shouldn't overstep. So
there's some boundaries.
There are
that
a few boundaries, yes.
So have you guys like see?
I thought you were gonna ask, do you guys have work husbands?
Oh God,
oh
no.
my God, really?
Oh my gosh, here.
I just want. It sounds
work
like
besties.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys have like experienced a lot of that, like seen a lot of like work husband, work wives type of deal. And have you seen that like cross the line?
Oh, definitely. I mean,
Definitely.
I mean, not like personally, but I always think it's best just not to actually date your coworkers because I don't know, that can get a little awkward. And I've seen the falling out of this happen many times actually. So it works sometimes.
In rare cases.
It'll work out, but better to err on the side of caution, you know?
Yeah. But what about like somebody who has like a work husband or work wife, but they're in a relationship?
Ooh.
Yeah, spicy. I know.
We've known of people like that.
Yeah, we know people like that.
Yeah.
It just all comes down to like boundaries and what you're comfortable with in your relationship and what your partner's comfortable with. And
we've also like seen people get fired over it.
Yeah,
because
it becomes an HR issue.
Yeah, like if someone is like a salary manager, you're not supposed to have relationship with like a regular
team member.
Yeah,
it's almost like an abuse of power.
Exactly. And so like it has to be like secretive, I guess.
Oh my God.
But once it gets into secretive, then God, we're not in a good territory.
Okay, so how often does that happen though? When a manager or a supervisor is the one who has a secret relationship with, I guess, for lack of a better term, subordinate?
I feel like it happens probably more than like you would think.
Not at this job.
Not. Yeah, we're not talking specifically
not
about
this job, guys. It's all generalities right now. But no, it definitely happens. And you know,
I can think of like a few.
I can think
from
of a
our
few
other
as well.
workplace, but or like someone leaves the job in order to be with their work wife.
I feel like that
husband.
does happen quite often.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I feel like that is
too.
a better option than keeping it on the down low. You know,
It's crazy seeing that though when like someone's already like they've worked like super high up and like have moved into like a pretty big position and then
just
are
leaving
good
it
to
for
like leave
a coworker. Hey, maybe that's the love of their life.
Yeah,
but, like,
maybe
you never know.
That's so crazy because I don't know, because I've always seen like when I think of people talking about like their work husband or work wife, I've never really thought about it as actually turning into something,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
I mean,
But I
Here
guess
we
it happens.
are.
You're in the
Well,
wrong
yeah.
industry.
But I mean, just I guess for context information, you guys, we have Megan Sai here, who have worked with us for a while, and then you guys left for a little bit.
Mhm.
So you have experience. A lot of the experience also comes from actually a high end restaurant.
Yeah, and I feel like there's, if anyone's worked in the restaurant industry, you know that like
Things get a little messy.
things get messy. It's very
easy to get messy.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a crazy environment to work in on many different
High
levels.
stress, high emotion, on every level, high emotion. So I don't know. It's kind of inevitable at that point, but it just depends on how much stress you want to put on your life and your job and what relationships you're willing to risk.
So I know
So-
some of these like work wife, work husband relationships are kind of playful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people are bored.
Yeah.
And
People are
like a lot of people are bored, and that's probably what fuels a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, I don't know. I guess it makes work more fun,
Yeah.
in quotes.
But
But-
does it create more drama too, though?
Oh,
Oh,
of course it
100%.
does.
But people love the drama.
They do
Like,
love the
that's true.
drama.
People love to dive into the drama.
We
What's
should
li-
come up
what's
with a
life without
reality
tea?
show that's just like work wife, work husband.
Oh,
They
jeez.
should. That would be a good idea.
Secret lives of work husbands. Secret lives
Restaurant
of
industry
work
edition.
wives.
Oh gosh.
I feel like that's not just even in the restaurant industry. Like it could be anywhere.
No, I don't think so. I mean, yeah.
I mean, was it there anything weird in retail when you used to work retail, Milan?
in retail,
I feel like restaurant is just a different beast
a different
to
breed.
tackle.
yeah, I guess like when I was working in retail, it was a bit more chill, but there was drama, but it wasn't coming from like the work wife, work husband type of deal. I felt like the people, and I think it just depends on where you worked at, right? So the people I worked with were very respectful and like of like respecting your boundaries and things like that.
That's good.
And I think that's probably because they were in relationships themselves. So I
Mhm.
guess that was a little different because like they were in their own relationship, so they kind of like had that boundary already
True.
with themselves.
Sometimes that means nothing to some people.
And I feel like where we worked, there's a lot of younger people
Mm-hmm.
too. So
Just that age range, I guess. Trying new stuff, seeing new people, temptations.
yeah.
You know, it's easy to get wrapped up into it.
Well, you
And-
see these people so often, right?
Yeah, you see them very often.
I mean, sometimes your coworkers, you see them more than your family sometimes. So
That's
Mhm.
true.
like it seriously is most of your life. And I feel like that's how a lot of relationship issues come into play, especially when you aren't working at the same place as your partner and your lives are pretty separated by your careers and you have a whole different life, basically. Whole set of new people.
I feel like work plays like a huge part of your life too.
Yeah.
Because you're like, especially if you're working like full time or close to full time, like you're spending a lot of your time there
Oh yeah.
and a lot of time with those people.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I guess that can be good or bad.
Depending on where you work.
Yeah, depending on where you work. But I think that's why like turnaround rate is super like common in restaurant industries. I don't know.
It's easy
People-
to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And people just don't love it.
It's definitely not a position that, I don't know. Some people will stay in it for a while, but it's a hard place to stay in.
What was so hard about working for the restaurant that you guys worked for?
I mean, I think just with the atmosphere of the restaurant itself and the demographic that it really reaches into, I think from that perspective, there's an aura that you need to maintain while working there, and there's like a level of expectation that you are this classy, high class person appealing to a high class audience, this and that. I don't know, just a lot of pressure to be not perfect, but
You also have to
appealing.
you have to
You have to
like
market
look
yourself.
a certain standard that was very like drilled into your head from the very start, and walk a certain way, have a certain posture. Like just little things like that would be corrected like all the time, which I guess it like kind of teaches you how to like carry yourself. So like that's a benefit of it, but like just to like the extent that it went to,
it's not
it's probably not healthy.
Yeah, it's not for you. It's for the restaurant's marketability. So you kind of have to conform a little bit.
So did you two have work husbands?
No.
Spill it.
No.
Spill it.
No.
No. I mean, I feel like they were like guys that like would call us maybe their work wives, but we didn't
Would not be
reciprocate the same
reciprocated.
feelings.
Sorry, guys.
If you're listening
Sorry
to
if you're
this.
listening to this. No, yeah, there was.
I'm just there to work, babes. I'm there to work.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people that worked there, like work was like the second thing that they came for, and like the first thing
Social.
was like social
Yeah. 100%. No.
or like relationship,
Strictly business.
trying to find their work wife or work husband.
Mm-mm.
So it can go one way. It's not necessarily a two-way thing.
Yeah.
Somebody can have you as their work spouse, and
Probably shouldn't say it out loud then.
It's one-sided.
yeah, it's a one-sided relationship.
Yeah, a little bit.
Ouch.
Just someone to put your emotional baggage on, pretty much. Put on.
Oopsies.
Seriously, when you're stressed out at work, just someone you can go to and rely on. Like,
And like
I don't know.
vent
That
to.
builds a connection. Some may call that a friendship.
Is that a good connection though? Like
No.
if you're just using that relationship to like vent to somebody, like that's
And like
kind of
dump
Yeah.
everything on.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's kind of the same thing as working with
Toxic.
your partner. If you work in the same place with your partner, you're bringing home the stress of work. All you have pretty much to talk about is work. And if that's a common stressor, then there's just not much else to elaborate on in your relationship. It's probably not going to work out.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen many times.
Well, I think that's a thing we've seen people here with us, right? Like that end up dating each other, and it's turned out good and it's turned out bad.
Yeah.
It's kinda
when
gone
it's
both
bad,
ways.
it's really bad.
It is because when they go down that hole of like feeding each other that negativity, like they take that negativity home and then they just add to it, to it, and then I mean those people aren't here anymore because of that.
I feel like it's like a cycle
Yeah.
that people get trapped in. And like,
Well, they project their work stress, turn it into personal stress. And
mm-hmm.
you don't want to have that. If anything, you should just have personal stress, not
Yeah.
bring home work stress.
I think, but that's an easy way out. Like that's an easy thing to do is take it home, especially when you work with somebody. You just take it home and just kind of just blah 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 blah. Oh, how about this or about this happened today? Oh my gosh, it was so bad.
Yeah.
It's harder to sharpen each other, I think.
Yeah.
And
There's
that's
not a different perspective.
if you're just feeding negativity, like, oh, this happened to me today. And then the other person's like, oh, yeah, this happened to me. And it's like almost like a battle of like,
who got it worse today.
Yeah. Who got
There's
it worse
no
today.
unbiased like opinion in this like circumstance.
mm-hmm.
You need someone with like a different experience to look at your problems objectively.
I mean, I feel like at the restaurant that I worked at, like a lot of my friends there too, like even just like in our friendships, like we get caught like just talking about like all the bad things that like have happened at work. And like it's just like, why are we talking about this? Like,
I know.
this is like bringing all of our vibe down. Like, it's just,
There are things outside of work.
yeah,
There's life outside of work,
balance.
Talking about work-life balance, you got to save that for another episode because that's a whole nother story right there.